Nigerian police say gunmen have freed more than 200 prisoners. This happened at a medium security prison in Niger State on Saturday. Police say they recaptured at least 10 of the inmates. It's the third such incident in 2 months. The two earlier jailbreaks were blamed on the armed group Boko Haram. While prison breaks are just one part of the deteriorating security situation in Nigeria, the government is accused of not doing enough as Boko Haram continues its violent campaign throughout the country. The armed group is trying to set up an Islamic state in the north. The Nigerian government's ability to deal with security was put into the international spotlight when Boko Haram kidnapped more than 200 schoolgirls in April. The government announced a ceasefire deal in October, but Boko Haram denied having any such agreement. And since then, more than 100 people have been killed in attacks. Joining us now live from Washington, D.C. is Herman Cohen. He's the former U.S. Assistant Secretary of State for African Affairs. Welcome once again to Al Jazeera, sir. Now, Boko Haram is suspected of other raids to free inmates. Does this one look like another Boko Haram attack to you?
I would doubt that. The geographic area is very far from Boko Haram's area of operations. This is in Mina State, which is a mixture of Christian and Muslim peoples. So it looks to me like a standard prison break organized from within with corruption and payoffs and that. I doubt if Boko Haram is involved here.
Okay, now this is the third massive jailbreak, though, in Nigeria since early November. Why can't the authorities secure their prisons?
Well, this speaks to a greater problem, which is very low morale in the security services. Ever since the civilian government came back to power in 1999, the military have been neglected, the police have been neglected, salaries are not being paid, and it's quite clear that there needs to be a reorganization, a rehabilitation, and more attention paid to the welfare of the military.
Yeah, Nigeria once had the strongest army in Africa, didn't it? And now it can't seem to stop these Boko Haram attacks.
It was a great power in West Africa. They solved the Liberian problem. They solved the Guinea-Bissau problem. They were the peacekeeping force of West Africa. But ever since, I think, basically since civilians came back, they've been totally neglected. I think it's kind of revenge because the military was in power for 20 years and naturally took most of the resources. So the civilian government now has to understand that if they do not do something for the military and the police, I would say the police are in worse situation than the military, then things will continue to deteriorate.
This has been a bloody, bloody year for Nigeria. Some say it's bloodiest. Bombings, shootings, kidnappings have become weekly events there. Boko Haram is now estimated to control an area of northeast Nigeria the size of Rhode Island. Is Boko Haram, do you think, winning the battle for control of Nigeria?
No, not of Nigeria, but in their little region in the northeast.
Yeah.
Yes, they are controlling more and more territory, and the government is grappling with how to handle it. I believe the government will get on top of it because the civilian population, where Boko Haram is in control, detests Boko Haram, and because Boko Haram is killing Muslim people, not other people. And I think slowly but surely the military will be getting the intelligence that they need in order to find out. But their morale must be raised. They must be getting their pay. They must be increased in pay. And the government has to do something about it. We also have to remember that there's a great deal of piracy now off the coast of Nigeria. So the government is faced with multiple problems, and oil prices are low now, and the government revenue is going down. So it's very difficult to see how they're going to cope with it, especially since an election is coming up in February. So the place is in basic turmoil, and I'm worried about it.
Sir, thank you very much for sharing your thoughts with us. Once again, Herman Cohen is the former U.S. Assistant Secretary of State for African Affairs. Thank you, sir.